Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know, from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars, topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Jesse Tapia. All right. It is now Friday, the end of the week. It is April 27th, the end of the month, nearly. All right. And it is nearly the end of the first round in the NBA playoffs. It's been a joy to watch so far, I feel. We've had LeBron pretty much putting up monster performances. We've had the Bucks and Celtics not really creating a rivalry, but giving us a pretty decent series. All right, we had Philly beating Miami in 5. Trust the process. We've got Toronto and Washington duking it out tonight, Game 6. We also had them playing on Wednesday. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. All right, let's see what else have we had. We've had the Warriors knocking out the Spurs in 5. The Pelicans sweeping the Trailblazers. The Rockets beating the Timberwolves in 5 games. And then we still got the Jazz and Thunder playing. All right. That's got Game 6 going on tonight. Jazz are up 3-2 in that series. And one thing, too, with the... Let's see. Are we going to... Was there a game on Wednesday? Yes, we got actually Timberwolves and Rockets. Should we just start off with the Timberwolves and Rockets? I mean, that series is already over. Yeah, let's start off with the series that are done, that finished up. So we'll start off with Timberwolves and Rockets. We'll actually do 2 games this segment. We'll do Timberwolves, Rockets, Jazz, Thunder. And then next up, we'll do Pacers, Cavs. And then third segment, we'll do Celtics, Bucks from yesterday, since we got to get the Wednesday ones out of the way first, since we didn't have a chance to talk about them yet. And then for the fourth segment, we'll talk about the Game 5? Yeah, Game 5 between Washington and Toronto in the fourth segment, along with talking about their game going on tonight. Also, many other things going on in the NBA, if there are any. All right. So, like I said, I mean, with the Rockets, like, they beat the Timberwolves in their series in 5 games, all right? And you know what? Let me read you the score and all that, and then we'll talk about the Rockets. So we had the Rockets knocking off the Timberwolves in Game 5, 122-104. For the Timberwolves, you had Andrew Wiggins, who had 14 points, 4 rebounds, shot 5 of 14, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Karl Anthony Towns had 23 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 9 of 14, 1 of 2 from the three-point line. Jeff Teague had 17 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 6 of 14, 3 of 5 from the three-point line. Jimmy Butler had 8 points in this one, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 4 of 10, did not play in the fourth quarter due to a knee injury. And then off the bench, you had Derrick Rose, who was probably one of the Timberwolves' best players in this series. He had 12 points, 2 assists, shot 3 of 7, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. I didn't think I'd be saying Derrick Rose was one of their best players this series, but nonetheless, I mean, he was. It wasn't. It's not like he was out of this world, but he was playing better than most, and that's not really saying much because his team just didn't perform. But nonetheless, you had Jamal Crawford, who had 20 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 8 of 10, 2 of 3 from the three-point line, and then off the bench, or not off the bench, for the Rockets, you had Trevor Ariza with 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 5 of 11, 4 of 7 from the three-point line. PJ Tucker played probably his best game of the series so far, best game of the playoffs so far, I should say. He had 15 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 5 of 8 from the field, 5 of 7 from the three-point line. Clint Capella, who is pretty much just emerging as a top center in this game, in this playoff so far. He had 26 points, 15 rebounds, shot 12 of 14 there. Chris Paul wasn't great, 6 of 16 from the field, 0 of 8 from the three-point line, had 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 12 points. James Harden could have shot the ball a little bit better, but nonetheless turned in 24 points, 12 assists, 5 rebounds, shot 8 of 21, 4 of 11 from the three-point line. Off the bench, you had Eric Gordon with 19 points, shot 5 of 11 from the field, 3 of 7 from the three-point line. Gerald Green only played 9 minutes in this one, had 3 points. Ryan Anderson had 5 there. All right. So like I said, Rockets ended up winning Game 5, winning the series 4-1, and knocked off the Timberwolves 122-104. All right. The Timberwolves, I mean, what can you do? Had to play the number 1 team in the West, arguably. All right, and really just didn't have a real shot. I mean, they were down 2-1 in the series. Game 4 is what killed them. Game 4, if the Rockets don't have that fourth quarter, I might go as far to say that the Timberwolves win that game because of the fact that I think they were the better team before that third quarter, even though it was close before. I figured they'd win that game, but nonetheless, they don't get the opportunity to, and now it's over. All right, but, I mean, less about the Timberwolves, more about the Rockets here. Did the Rockets even play their best basketball here? Like, honestly. All right. I don't think so. I think Chris Paul could have been a whole lot better than what he was. James Harden could have been a whole lot better than what he was. I mean, James Harden had 2 very big games. But nonetheless, I mean, for this team to play about... Like, it wasn't great watching them. And I feel like I'm not the only one who thinks that, right? Like, yeah, they won in 5, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel like we were missing something from the Rockets here. And I guess that's kind of a good thing for them, the fact that they haven't even played their best basketball yet, and they just knocked off the Timberwolves with Jimmy Butler, Karl Anthony Towns, and Andrew Wiggins in 5 games. So I guess that's a little plus there. But it's just like, I mean, you're probably going to have to end up facing off the Jazz next round, maybe the Thunder. You don't think, and I'd go as far to say that the Jazz at least are better than the Timberwolves. The Thunder, I don't really know too much as far as them being better than the Timberwolves, but nonetheless, okay, playing a team like the Jazz in the next round, I mean, you're going to have to step it up a bit. So I'm not going out and saying that the Rockets need to panic by any means. If anything, I say this is a better thing, the fact that they played so poorly and only won in 5 games. But it's just like, I don't know. It's just something is off with the Rockets for me here. Okay, and it's like the Timberwolves were bad this series too. I mean, Towns really couldn't get it going until the end. Butler was hot and cold. Wiggins is just Wiggins. It's like he's off in his own little planet doing his own thing there. So we'll see how it all ends up as far as the Rockets go. I mean, as far as the Timberwolves too, I mean, let's say Jimmy Butler doesn't get hurt for like that last month and a half. They probably don't end up playing the Rockets in the first round. They probably have an easier first round matchup, but nonetheless, it doesn't work that way. So we'll see what the Timberwolves got going on next season. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be a better team. And I'm not sure really what I think of Tom Thibodeau as a coach. I feel like he could have did better this series as far as managing everyone. I mean, the fact that it was a story that Towns wasn't really getting too involved was a problem. I mean, I feel like as a coach, you got to realize, you know what, this isn't working. Obviously, let's get the ball to our best player. I don't know that. I don't know. Just a thought. All right, like I said, Rockets in 5 there. Then we had the Jazz and Thunder playing on Wednesday, Game 5 there. Utah was up 3-1. Thunder pulled it out. All right, Jazz were up 25 at one point, and they choked. They lost to the Thunder 107-99 for the Jazz. You had Derek Favors, who only played 24 minutes, was 2 of 3 from the field, had 10 points, 5 rebounds. Joe Ingles had 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Shot 5 of 11, 4 of 9 from the three-point line. Rudy Gobert had 11 points in this one, 10 rebounds. Had 2 blocks, shot 3 of 8. Ricky Rubio wasn't great in this one. Shot 4 of 14 from the field, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. Had 10 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. Donovan Mitchell had 23 points, 3 steals, 3 assists, 5 rebounds. Could have shot the ball better. Was 9 of 22 from the field, 1 of 7 from the three-point line. Off the bench, you had Jay Crowder, who had his best game of the playoffs so far. 27 points, 3 assists, 8 rebounds, shot 9 of 19, 6 of 14 from the three-point line. And then, I mean, your next highest scorer off the bench was Epke Udo. Wow. He had 2 points. All right. And with the Jazz, I mean, they only really went to their bench a couple of times with Royce O'Neal and Jay Crowder. I mean, Jay Crowder played 37 minutes. O'Neal played 20. Jerebko, Exum, and Udo, I mean, they only played about 11 minutes combined. So maybe it was just a matter of they were trying to go 7 deep here. But I don't know. As far as the Thunder, go, you had Carmelo Anthony, who only played 25 minutes, only took 6 shots, hit 2 of those, was 0 of 2 from the three-point line, had 5 rebounds, 7 points, and that just might be the best case scenario for the Thunder. Just keep Carmelo Anthony off the court as much as you can. Paul George, on the other hand, had 34 points, shot 12 of 26 from the field, 2 of 6 from the three-point line, had 6 rebounds, or actually 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Steven Adams had 6 points in this one, 6 rebounds. Russell Westbrook had 45 points, 7 assists, 15 rebounds, shot 17 of 39, 5 of 9 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had Jeremy Grant, who had 4 points in this one, 2 rebounds. OKC fights to live another day. All right. I figured that the Jazz were going to close it out on Wednesday. They got a chance to do that tonight. But it's just like, this was a big mistake by the Jazz, letting OKC get back into the game and winning this one, especially in Utah, because now you got to go back over. Actually, it was in Oklahoma City. So I guess it's not as bad, but it's just like you go into Utah for this game, for Game 6. I think that more of the pressure is on, well, obviously there's pressure on Oklahoma City because if they lose, they're out. But it's just more so with the Jazz, the pressure on them is that, yeah, we don't want to let this team win because we're going to have to go to their place for Game 7. Okay, and winning a Game 7 on the road is no easy task, let me tell you. All right, I don't have my fancy schmancy stats up with me right here to see who's usually the winner in Game 7, but I can tell you right now it'd be the home team. Okay, and it's just with the Jazz. I mean, you got this Thunder team on the opposite side where you got Paul George and Russell Westbrook. Melo's not really much of a factor anymore. Okay? And you just don't want to keep them alive still because of the fact that these guys know what it takes to go out and win. Granted, they've never seen a finals in their life, but it's just more so they have that playoff experience. And also, they're big-time players. Russell Westbrook is a top 6, 7 player. Paul George is a top 20 player, most likely. I mean, it's just, you don't really want it. You don't really want it to go down to Game 7, where you got the guys with experience. Because this Jazz team, I mean, you got Donovan Mitchell, who's a rookie. Joe Ingles been in the playoffs a couple times. Rudy Gobert was there a couple times. So, I mean, they do have experience, but it's just a matter of, I don't know. I just figure you don't want to go to Game 7 with this OKC team. So, we're going to wrap it up here, though. Next up, we're going to talk about that Cavs-Pacers game from Wednesday. I'm going to give my thoughts on it. Segment 3, we're going to talk Bucks, Celtics, and then segment 4, we'll talk Raptors, Wizards, and then make my picks for tonight's games too. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. So far, we've just talked about both the Thunder and Jazz series and then the Rockets beating the Timberwolves in 5 games. All right, so we did that for the first segment. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm sure you enjoyed listening to it. At least I hope so. For this segment, we're going to be talking Cavs Pacers. All right, boy, oh boy, what a game we had on Wednesday. All right. Controversy, yes. Game-winning shot, yes. Cavs win, yeah. All right, Cavs ended up winning that one, 98-95. For the Pacers, you had Thaddeus Young with 16 points, 6 rebounds, shots 8 of 9. Bojan Bogdanovic had 11 points, 3 assists, shot 4 of 9 there, 3 of 5 from the three-point line. Miles Turner had 8 points. Let's see, he had 8 points, 3 rebounds. Not great. Shot 3 of 4 from the field. Darren Collison only played 21 minutes in this one, had 4 points, 3 assists, 1 rebound, shot 1 of 5. Victor Oladipo was nowhere to be found. He had 12 points, 4 assists, 12 rebounds, 2 of 15 shooting, 1 of 7 from the three-point line. Obviously, that's not great. All right, off the bench, though, you had Domantas Sabonis, who was great. Had 22 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds, shot 8 of 12. Lance Stevenson dropped in 12 points, 4 assists, 4 of 8 shooting, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. And then for those Cavs, okay, I'm going to read off LeBron James' stat line last. Kevin Love, 11 points, 1 assist, 10 rebounds, shot 2 of 11. Calderon, 6 points, 2 steals, 2 rebounds, shot 2 of 6. Korver had 19 points. He has been the Cavs' second best player, all right, and that is a problem. But nonetheless, he had 19 points, 6 rebounds, shot 6 of 11, 5 of 9 from the three-point line. J.R. Smith, goose egg, 0 points, 0 of 8 from the field. Had 2 rebounds, 3 assists, though, so I will give him that. Also had 2 steals. Okay. You had Larry Nance, a guy that they traded for, only had 5 points, 1 assist, 3 rebounds, shot 2 of 3. Jeff Green, who got moved from the starting 5, had 5 points, 2 rebounds, shot 2 of 3 there. Jordan Clarkson, another guy they traded for, 4 points, shot 2 of 5. And then Rodney Hood, the other guy they traded for, 4 points, 1 of 4 shooting in 21 minutes. George Hill was out of this one with an injury, okay? And they won. That team won this game 98-95. But the only reason why they won was because of LeBron James. The guy had 44 points, 8 assists, 10 rebounds, shot 14 of 24, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. If he would have scored 5 more points, okay, 5 more points, he scores half of them. All right. Isn't that a bit ridiculous? That the guy's got to go out and pretty much score half of the team's points in order for them to have an opportunity to win by 3? Come on now. All right, and speaking of the game, I mean, it wasn't close throughout or anything like that. The Cavs were up because of a big third quarter, and then Indiana decides to come back. They end up coming back. It's tied. All right. LeBron's got the ball with a little bit of time left. Ends up committing a turnover. I mean, whether it should have been a Cleveland ball still or not, doesn't matter because it was Indiana's ball. Oladipo gets the ball, goes down, drives to the hoop. LeBron swats him. Okay. That could have been a goaltend. Probably should have been a goaltend. I guess you can't review goaltending, which is just ridiculous to me. I mean, I don't understand how the last 2 minutes of game, which are the most important, you can pretty much review everything except for goaltending. And it's not like it's like one of those judgment calls or anything like that. Oh, I made the call. Like, there's nothing we can do about it. Like, no, you have replay. You can very well go check to see if the ball hit the backboard first. All right. And I feel like watching this game, too, like the TNT crew, because if I remember correctly, it was played on TNT. TNT crew didn't even really go back and show like a close-up replay of it. Like, it didn't matter. And I guess I do understand that showing the replay because essentially it doesn't matter, but it does create a story if you zoom in on the ball a little bit and see whether or not it hit the backboard. But they didn't do that, so we really didn't get like a clear good look, or at least I didn't. I mean, I'm sure maybe someone else did or whatever, but nonetheless, they called it a block. Nothing you can do about it. Okay. And then actually the NBA came out and they do like the little last 2 minutes thing or whatever, what we got right, what we got wrong. They actually said it was a goaltend, so yeah, they did get that wrong. But either way, Cavs get the ball back, call timeout, advance it up the court. Okay, it's 95-95 at this point. Can't remember how much time was left. I think like 3 seconds or something like that. Something like that. Okay. They inbound the ball. I'm not really sure how Indiana lets LeBron get this ball, but he does. Takes a couple dribbles to his left. Ends up fading away, hitting the game-winning 3. Boom, it's over. All right. Indiana, where you had Victor Oladipo and pretty much your entire team playing poor except for a couple of guys, loses by 3. All right. And like I said, if you're paying attention to this Cavs team, I mean, this is brutal. Like, it's terrible. Kevin Love has done nothing. J.R. Smith is nowhere to be found. And those guys that they traded for, I mean, they're not doing anything. And one thing with that, I mean, who would have thought that the fourth and fifth option on the Lakers wouldn't be playing well in the playoffs? And an off-the-bench guy for the Jazz wouldn't be doing too hot. I don't know. Crazy concept to me. Well, what do I know, right? But nonetheless, as far as the Cavs go, man, I mean, I picked them in 5. That was wrong from the start. All right. But nonetheless, there is the opportunity that they go out into Indiana tonight and close out Game 6. Will they? I'm not sure. Okay. The only way the Cavs can win games, it seems, is if LeBron James scores half of their points and pretty much just plays a perfect game here. Okay. Because if you got the opposing team's best player going 2 for 15, their starting point guard going 1 of 5, their center not doing much, okay, and their 3 guard really just, he was okay, and you only win by 3, there's a problem, all right? And it's just with the Cavs, I mean, yes, LeBron may get you out of this first round with his incredible performances, but, all right, how are you going to do that against a Wizards team or against a Raptors team in the next round? Especially against the Raptors, who was looking like they should end up coming out of that first round. How are you going to do that against them? I don't understand how you're going to be able to play so poorly and expect to win. All right. Indiana's offense really hasn't looked that good so far. And they're still barely losing. What if you're playing a Raptors team who can put up a 105 on any given night? Okay. LeBron, I think, if I look back, okay, LeBron scored 44, I think 32 in their other win, and then 44 in this one. They barely broke 104 in one of those games. Other than that, everything's been pretty low scoring, I think, if I'm not mistaken. They said, Raptors can put up 105 on any given day, even on a bad day. Some of these other guys are really going to have to step up, and I'm not really sure where they get that from. J.R. Smith is not going to be the guy. Neither is Larry Nance. Jeff Green is way too inconsistent. Jordan Clarkson just doesn't look comfortable, and Rodney Hood just, I don't know, doesn't look good either. Kyle Korver's been showing up playing well. That's it, though. Jose Calderon isn't going to be the guy, and Kevin Love just seems like he forgot how to play basketball. So as far as the Cavs go, I mean, you still got to win in Indiana tonight. All right, it's series isn't over by any means. But nonetheless, I mean, I do think that they are going to end up making out of this first round. I just don't think Indiana is ready yet. All right, I think they haven't really played well at all either. The only reason why we haven't talked about that is because of the fact that LeBron's just been on something else this series. All right, but in order for this Cavs team to succeed, LeBron's going to have to score 35 a game. Like, that's no question. Like, at least. He needs to have at least half of their points in order for them to have a chance, which is just ridiculous. But nonetheless, there it is. All right. So, we'll see about it. Like I said, they play tonight. I'd probably end up picking the Cavs. We'll see how the show goes, how I feel about it at the end. But nonetheless, I mean, games in Indiana, I think it should be a good one. It's going to be close. It's not going to be a blowout or anything like that. It's just a matter of if Victor Oladipo is going to end up showing up. All right. Because he hasn't really looked good at all in the 3 losses. I think one of them he played all right. Didn't really shoot the ball well from 3 in that one, I think it was. I have to double check which game exactly that was. But nonetheless, I mean, Oladipo's got to show up. Turner's got to play well. Bogdanovich needs to be better. And that's pretty much it right there. As far as the Cavs go, maybe someone other than LeBron score more than 15 points. Or score 20 points, maybe. Someone. J.R. Smith, maybe you want to hit a shot, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a coach, so what do I know, right? But either way, we'll see. Like I said, Game 6 tonight. If not, got Game 7 in Cleveland. So we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Celtics-Bucks game from yesterday. And then, like I said, for the 4th segment, we're going to head back over to Toronto, talk about their game with Washington from Wednesday, and talk about all the other games going on tonight, along with anything else going on in the basketball world. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. So far today, we've talked Rockets Timberwolves. That series is now over. We've talked Jazz Thunder. Game 6 is tonight. And then we've talked Cleveland, Indiana, that little Wednesday game, that little controversy game it was. All right, was it a goaltend? NBA says it was, but it doesn't matter because they said it after. And I mean, even if it was a goaltending, give them the 2 points. Who cares? They still lose by 1. All right, so there's that. For this segment, we're going to be talking Boston, Milwaukee, Game 6 from Thursday. All right. And, I mean, this series has been a bit of a weird one. It almost feels like this probably should have been the NBA TV series instead of Washington and Toronto. But, I mean, even then, Washington and Toronto really isn't getting too many headlines. All right. At least here you got like Giannis Antetokounmpo over there in Toronto, Washington. Yeah, you got like John Wall and DeMar DeRozan, but it's just like I don't think anyone's really been paying attention to that series, honestly. I mean, have they? I have because I have to and stuff, but I don't know. I just feel like as far as like the TV coverage, like the media and all that, as far as talking about, like no one's really been over there. Do people know that Otto Porter's not playing anymore in the series? Like, do they know he got hurt? And yes, Otto Porter did get hurt. Won't be back for Game 6 tonight. Actually, won't be back for the rest of the series, it's looking like. I mean, I don't even think that's really been reported on. Like, yeah, it's out there, but it's not like a story or anything like that. All right. So you get what I'm saying? Pretty much, like, I don't know. That series has been weird. But as far as Celtics and Bucks go, it's pretty much just been back and forth. All right, home team wins their games, road team loses theirs. And they always say series doesn't start until the road team wins, and series might end. Or actually, yeah, series is going to end if the road team wins on Saturday. But it's also going to end if the home team wins. I mean, we've had battles. We've had Eric Bledsoe versus Terry Rozier. Horford and Antetokounmpo have gone at it. Not like it's bad blood like Eric Bledsoe and Terry Rozier, and I don't even think that's really been too bad. But like as far as Garden and stuff like that, Jaylen Brown's played well. Tatum has played like a rookie in this series, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like he's played well, but he's had those little lapses where like dude's a rookie, he doesn't really know what to do there. And it's just pretty much just been evenly matched, to be honest. If anything, if I have to give the edge to any team in this series, it'd probably be Milwaukee. All right, Boston's been coming from behind a lot in this series, but nonetheless, I mean, they tried coming from behind again in Game 6 on Thursday, and it didn't work out. Milwaukee won that one, 97-86. For the Celtics, you had Al Horford with 10 points, 2 blocks, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 4 of 8. Semi Ojeleye got the start in this one. I mean, his primary job was to guard Giannis. He finished with no points, had 4 rebounds. Jason Tatum had 22 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 rebounds, shot 6 of 14, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. Terry Rozier, I mean, the guy's just simply struggled since Game 3. I'm not really sure what it is, but he just didn't play well enough. And, yeah, didn't really play well in Game 6. Was 5 of 17 from the field, 4 of 12 from the three-point line, had 7 rebounds, 5 assists, did have 16 points. So, I mean, across the board, it looks nice, but you'd want those shooting numbers to be a little bit more efficient. Jaylen Brown played well. I mean, he played all right. Wasn't a bad game, but you'd expect him probably to play a little bit better, just given the role that has been thrust upon him. And with Kyrie being out, he's now the guy on this team. He had 14 points, 5 rebounds, shot 6 of 15, 1 of 6 from the three-point line. Again, those aren't bad by any means. I mean, those are pretty decent numbers, especially considering the fact if you had Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward out there, you'd be considerably happy with those numbers that Jaylen Brown's putting out. But the way he's played, he's kind of just taking it, and you know what? He's got to be the guy who steps up for Game 7. Marcus Morris off the bench had 14 points, 2 assists, shot 5 of 14, 1 of 4 from the three-point line, and then you had Marcus Smart with 6 points, 1 assist, 2 rebounds, no steals, no blocks, shot 2 of 9, 0 of 3 from the three-point line. It's just not great all around for the Celtics there. You need someone to be that guy that's scoring 25 a game, and it might be the point where they don't have that, all right? For the Bucks, you had Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like I said, Semi Ojeleye, his primary objective was to guard Antetokounmpo, and it didn't really work out too well. Giannis scored 31 points, had 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, shot 13 of 23. Chris Middleton, who obviously Giannis, if anyone was asked like who the best player in this series was or has been, it'd be Giannis. But if you were to ask me who's been the most consistent, efficient player, it's definitely Chris Middleton. All right, I feel like Chris Middleton has been more deadly for the going against the Celtics than Giannis Antetokounmpo. All right, and people are gonna hear me say that and be like, "Oh, what are you watching? Have you even like? Are you crazy? Are you dumb?" And like, no, like if you've been watching, you've seen what Chris Middleton has done against his team, and we're not talking about it enough. The guy had 16 points, 1 steal, 1 assist, 5 rebounds, shot 7 of 8, 2 of 2 from the three-point line. Obviously, you're saying, oh, he only scored 16 points. Giannis scored 31. And I'm not saying by any means that Middleton has been better than Giannis. But if you're looking at it, the dude went 7 of 8 from the field. I feel like he's barely missed at all in this series. Okay? If I had to go out and say off the top of my head how many total shots he's missed, I'd say probably around 10. Around there somewhere. All right? We've played 6 games. That's ridiculous. He's played well. And I think he needs the respect for it. But nonetheless, like I said, he had 16 and 5 rebounds. And the Celtics really haven't had an answer for him. You throw Marcus Smart on him, it doesn't matter how well defense Marcus Smart plays because of the fact that Middleton's just going to hit that mid-range shot, which is just ridiculous. All right, Thon Maker got to start in this one for Tyler Zeller. He had 4 points, 1 block, 7 rebounds, shot 2 of 6, got into foul trouble though, finished the game with 5 fouls. Was a pretty non-factor, honestly. Eric Bledsoe, who hasn't played well at all this entire series, shot 3 of 10 from the field, 1 of 4 from the three-point line, had 9 points, 4 assists. Malcolm Brogdon had 16 points, 2 assists, 6 rebounds, shot 5 of 7 there. Off the bench, you had Jabari Parker, who had 9 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Shot 4 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. And if you look at his stat sheet, I mean, 9 points doesn't really look too great or anything like that, right? Well, yeah, that's true, but it's just like Jabari Parker, those 9 points in Game 6, yes, it seems like so little, but those came at real big points in the game when they were on a run, when they needed a shot. He was there. All right, you can't really knock the guy for only scoring 9 points. I mean, you have to look more into the game and watch the game itself just to see how productive he was for this team in Game 6. And I still don't understand why he played so little in the first 2 games. I just don't get it at all. All right, Tyler Zeller and Matthew Dellavedova both had 3 points in this one, and then you had Tony Snell, who was pretty much just been a non-factor this entire series, but he finished the game as with 22 minutes played as a plus 13, had 6 points, 2 rebounds, shot 2 of 6 from three-point line. All right, obviously those numbers don't look great, but just like Jabari Parker, right? Snell only hit 2 threes, but those were big threes in this game, and they helped this team propel the team to the win. Okay. Boston's biggest problem has been the second quarter of this series in each game, and that's why they're constantly playing from behind. Okay? And Milwaukee isn't really a team you can really play behind with because of the fact that they know how to limit the run. They'll let you go on the run, okay? Because that's going to happen. Whatever. That's just part of the game. But they know how to limit it to the point where they don't really need to worry about it. All right? They're still going to be fine. All right, and with Boston, that's the thing that kind of worries me about them for Game 7. I mean, I am going to be picking Boston for Game 7, which is on Saturday. But it's just a matter of, I mean, if they fall behind, how sure are we that they're going to come back? All right, the Celtics have been the cardiac kids all year long. All right, this is what they do. They play from behind all the time. Playing being down double digits is nothing new to them. I'm not even sure if they sweat it anymore. Okay? It's literally been that ridiculous. But nonetheless, I mean, when you're going down against Giannis Antetokounmpo, you got Chris Middleton who's not missing shots, and Jabari Parker's pretty much been a huge momentum shift every time he's came on for Milwaukee off the bench. I mean, how often are you going to expect to come back, especially when you got guys like Terry Rozier who have been struggling? Al Horford really hasn't played well on the road so far in the series. So I guess that's a plus since they'll be playing at home for Game 7. But it's just a matter of, for this Game 7, Jaylen Brown's going to need to be on it from start to finish. He's going to need to be the best player on the court for the Celtics, no doubt. Okay? Jaylen Brown is going to need to at least score 25 in this game, I think, for the Celtics to win, along with Jason Tatum. He's not going to need to score 25, but he's going to at least need to give him about 17 to 20 points in this game. Al Horford does need to give the Celtics 20 in this game. Okay? Whenever Al Horford has scored 20 in this series, I think if I'm, again, I don't have like the concrete stat, but I'm almost positive the Celtics haven't lost. Okay? Celtics have only won at home, so I guess that helps them there. And as far as the Bucks go, I mean, it's just a matter of stick to your game plan. Don't switch anything up. Okay? I mean, obviously, when you got to make in-game adjustments, go ahead and do that. But as far as the game plan going into the game, you've been the better team. All right? The Bucks have been the better team so far. Celtics look great for the first 2 games, but after that, I mean, it's just a matter of they won Game 5 coming from behind, and then Games 3, 4, and 6, they really haven't looked good at all. All right? Marcus Smart's got to go out there and start hitting shots or taking less. And as far as Marcus Morris goes, I mean, you can't be going, yeah, you're putting in 14 points, but going 5 of 14 from the field is not really helping the team, is it? So he's got to fix himself there too. All right, and if I'm the Celtics, I mean, yeah, you probably weren't the favorite to win this series. It was Milwaukee since it was announced Kyrie Irving was going to be out for the first round, but it's just a matter of, I mean, losing in the first round, I feel like it's kind of counterproductive to the progress they've been making so far in this rebuild. All right? So we'll see what ends up going down, but like I said, I would pick the Celtics to win Game 7 since they are the home team. Celtics have never lost a series where they were down 2-0. It looks like that could happen this time, but I just don't count on it, I guess. All right. I'm not really sure what Brad Stevens has drawn up. I'm sure we're going to see Marcus Smart play a bunch in this game. He'll probably play about nearly 40 minutes in this game. Like, that's not even a question for me, I feel. Marcus Smart's a guy you got to have out there, and they got to find someone to limit Chris Middleton, okay? You're not going to stop Giannis. He's going to get his. But Chris Middleton, if they can limit Chris Middleton and pretty much have him play a bad game, Celtics got this one easy, like no doubt. All right? That is the guy you need to lock down on, and I hope really we'll see, actually, if Brad Stevens realizes that. Because if not, Celtics really don't got a, I don't want to say they don't got a chance, but it's going to be entirely difficult to go out and win Game 7, so we'll see. But we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to talk Toronto versus Washington from Wednesday, and pretty much anything else going on in the world of basketball. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. So far today, we've talked about Houston winning their series against Minnesota, talked about Game 5 between Oklahoma City and Utah, talked about Cleveland's Game 5 against Indiana, and then we talked about Game 6 between Boston and Milwaukee, which was played yesterday on Thursday. All right, like I said, Milwaukee won that one. I think it was, 97-86? And then now we're going to be talking about Toronto versus Washington, along with anything else going on in the NBA, as we always do. All right, but I mean, it's pretty much just been playoffs. I mean, there's a little update on Steph Curry. He's been a full participant in practice, so looks like he'll be playing. So we'll probably talk about that a little bit after we talk about the Wizards and Raptors. But nonetheless, let's talk about the Wizards and Raptors. Like I said, they had Game 5 on Wednesday. Toronto ended up winning that one, 108-98. Big game there. All right, for the Wizards, you had Markieff Morris with 6 points, 9 rebounds, shot 2 of 8. Otto Porter had 9 points in this one, 4 rebounds, shot 4 of 9. Like I said, he's not going to be playing Game 6. Marcin Gortat had 10 points, 12 rebounds, shot 4 of 9. John Wall had 26 points, 9 assists, 9 rebounds, shot 10 of 21. Bradley Beal struggled to shoot the ball a bit in this one, 8 of 20 from the field, 3 of 8 from the three-point line, had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Mike Scott had 7 points in this one, 4 rebounds, shot 3 of 5, and then you got Kelly Oubre Jr., who is going to be starting for Otto Porter in Game 6 tonight. He had 14 points, shot 3 of 11, 1 of 7 from the three-point line. Not great there. All right, and then you had Ty Lawson with 4 points, playing 14 minutes off the bench. For the Raptors, you had Serge Ibaka, who only had 3 points in this one, only had 2 rebounds. Jonas Valanciunas had 14 points, 13 rebounds, shot 5 of 13. Kyle Lowry had 17 points, 10 assists, 3 steals, shot 7 of 13, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. DeMar DeRozan had 32 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 12 of 24, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had DeLon Wright, who's played well at home, had 18 points, 2 steals, 1 block, 5 rebounds, shot 6 of 10, 2 of 2 from the three-point line. Jacob Poeltl had 9 points in this one, 3 rebounds. And then you had CJ Miles, who had 8 points, 4 rebounds, shot 2 of 7 from the three-point line. All right. And, I mean, for that game, I feel it was a must-win for Toronto, which they ended up doing. I feel going down 3-2 heading into Washington would be a bad move for them, which it would have been, but nonetheless, they're 3-2 up against Washington. All right. And with this Toronto Raptors team, I mean, if you look at Kyle Lowry's stat line, obviously it's not great. Well, I mean, it depends how you look at it. Okay, 17 points, 10 assists, 3 steals, shooting 7 of 13, 3 of 6 from the three-point line like that. That looks like a good stat line. But it's Kyle Lowry. I feel like either we've held him to a higher standard than we should have, or he's just not a playoff performer, and that's it. Okay? And what I'm getting at here is, like, you'd normally, at least me, and again, I just might be overvaluing Kyle Lowry, but expecting him to score maybe 22 a game, 25 a game in the playoffs, maybe, just with the talent that he's got. But yet again, I mean, if you got DeRozan out here dropping 30-plus a game, Kyle Lowry putting up that stat line, I mean, that's got to be a plus because of the fact that Kyle Lowry's still playing well. It's just a matter of you'd like to see him elevate himself a little bit more as far as his play. But nonetheless, I mean, if you got him being efficient, making everyone else better, and getting everyone else involved, then that's a plus. All right. And they're going to be getting Fred VanVleet back for this game tonight, Game 6. And, I mean, Raptors got to be the favorite, right? I don't see really a way where the Wizards end up winning this one without Otto Porter. And I'm not saying Otto Porter means that much, but it's just a matter of, I mean, you're losing a solid player. All right. I mean, after Game 5, you had John Wall saying the Wizards ran out of gas. It's the playoffs, man. You can't run out of gas here. All right. Maybe back over in the regular season, sure, whatever. You lose a game, no problem. The fact that they said they ran out of gas in Game 5? Really? I feel like that's such a sorry excuse there. How are you in the playoffs if you run out of gas? All right. But nonetheless, that's what happened, I guess. So we got them going in over to Game 6. And with the Raptors, I mean, how would you determine how well they play? Like, what would you say? You say they've been a great team. I don't think I'd say they were a great team so far. And, like, I wouldn't even say Houston's really been great, even winning their series in 5. I don't really think that's far out there either. I mean, yeah, they won in 5, but it's like James Harden really wasn't fully consistent over the series, and neither was Chris Paul. And I feel like for them to be great, they need to both be consistent. All right, but getting back to the Raptors, I mean, it's just a matter of, just like the Rockets, they haven't played their best basketball yet. But nonetheless, they have an opportunity to close out the series tonight, which I think they're going to do. I mean, I think it's time that this Wizards team gets blown up. I feel like they've grown tired of each other. They've hit their peak. All right, I don't think they're going to be competing for a title anytime soon with the core they got now. Maybe you trade a John Wall, or if you want to build around him, you trade Bradley Beal. It's kind of like the same little question that Portland has. I mean, what are you going to do with that core? Are you going to be keeping Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum around? Are you going to trade Lillard and see what you could get for him? Or are you going to trade McCollum and see if you could try and build around Lillard? All right. I'm not sure. Obviously, we know that Lillard and Wall are the best players on their team, but maybe it's just a matter of it's just not going to work with them, so we need to move on. And I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, I'd understand it completely, so we'll see. But like I said, I got the Raptors winning tonight. And that's got me kind of thinking, I mean, has there really been a team who's been great so far in the playoffs? I mean, Philly, I'm sure. That's the one team that has. All right. I mean, they truly beat down on Miami for those 5 games. 2 of them were close. I will give Miami that. But it's just a matter of, I mean, you could tell they really didn't have a shot against Philly in this series. Like, Miami would play well, keep it close, and it's just like, Philly's like, let's turn it on. They turn it on, and it's over. It's a blowout. So Philly's played great. Golden State, they played great, I think, in that series. Beat the Spurs in 5. And if I'm the Rockets, I'm a little worried about that because of the fact that the Warriors played about as well as you could. And they still got to get Steph Curry back. All right. As far as the Celtics, I mean, they've been very inconsistent with their performances. I wouldn't say they've been great. They've been all good and okay, I guess. Milwaukee's been pretty good, I say. I truly do think that Milwaukee has been the best team in that series so far. All right. Cleveland has just been terrible. Absolute hot garbage. The only reason why they're even playing a Game 6 tonight is because of LeBron James. So yeah, Cleveland hasn't played well. Indiana, I'd say, hasn't really played well either. Let's see, am I missing anyone else? Utah, they've played okay. Pretty good. Not great. Thunder, they've been, they're just hanging around. Portland played terrible. New Orleans was also a team that played great, I'd say. Them and Philly, honestly, have probably been the 2 best playoff teams so far. And I'm not saying like they're better than the Warriors or anything like that, but if you paid attention to that series at all, you'd see that New Orleans was, without a doubt, just absolutely destroying the Trailblazers in that series. Like, Trailblazers really, you could tell they had no chance whatsoever. All right. And I'm curious to see how that Warriors and Pelicans series ends up playing out. All right, because of the fact that you got Steph, who's been a full participant in practice. I mean, he's got to be ready for Game 1 then if he's a full participant. I mean, why would you waste time? All right. I'm very curious to see how that series is going to play out. Because of the fact that who has the best player in that series? Is it the Pelicans or is it the Warriors? Okay, because I'm going to go and say that KD is better than Steph. And as far as this season, too, I'm not talking about the last few years or whatever. Like this season, heading into the playoffs, I mean, you'd argue that AD has been better than Steph, and you could also argue that AD has maybe been better than KD. All right? Anthony Davis has a whole lot more on his plate than KD does. KD gets to defer to Steph if he's not feeling it one night. Not really too much pressure on KD out there. So I'd maybe argue that the Pelicans do have the best player in that series. And they do have a very solid playoff team. All right? I've already talked about it. Rondo, Drew Holiday being the solid second option. Mirotic and Etuan Moore filling in their roles. Rondo being that established veteran who plays well in the playoffs. I mean, they got it all. If anything, I don't know. I'd say the Warriors probably win in 6 games. But I wouldn't be shocked by any means if the Pelicans ended up making this like a 7-game series or something like that. They've been that good. So there's that. But other than that, I mean, there's not really much else. It's just playoffs. Like I said, we got 3 games going on tonight. Let me see if there's any other storylines to cover before we start making my picks for tonight's games. All right. That's pretty much it. Grizzlies are giving JB Bickerstaff a 3-year deal as their head coach. So that's news, I guess. And with the Grizzlies, I mean, it's just a matter of you hope you get that number 1 pick in order to get DeAndre Ayton. But they're going to have some nice options there. So yeah, let's make my picks for tonight's games. Like I said, we got Raptors versus the Wizards. I got the Raptors winning that one. I just don't think the Wizards are good enough to beat them on Game 6. Cavs versus Pacers. I'm going to say the Pacers get this one, but the Cavs are going to end up winning it in 7 games anyway, I think. All right. I'm sure Victor Oladipo is going to play well. I mean, if LeBron puts up 35 plus, I mean, I'm not sure. Cavs might win by 3, so we'll see. But I'm going to go with the Pacers in that one. Then we got Thunder Jazz. I'm going to go with the Jazz. Don't feel good about it, but I got to go with the Jazz there. If this goes to Game 7, let me just say this. The Jazz, don't let it go to Game 7. Whatever you do, do not let this get to Game 7. So we're going to wrap it up here. Today we pretty much just talked about playoffs. All right, talked about Rockets Timberwolves series in the first segment, along with Game 5 between Utah and Oklahoma City. Second segment, we talked about Cleveland's Game 5 against the Pacers. Talked about Game 6 between Milwaukee and Boston in the third segment. And then for the fourth segment, we talked about the Raptors-Wizards. Made my picks for tonight's games. And also talked a little bit about the playoffs so far, how they've gone. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back on Monday, so stay tuned. And I'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.